What's up, guys? Misha here from Beyond the Huddle, and welcome to this week's altcoin forecast. We're going to be taking a look at Ethereum. We'll take a look at the COT report. We'll take a look at ETHBTC to see whether or not ETH should outperform Bitcoin, and then we'll also look at the ETHUSD price. But before I get into the video, guys, as you see on my screen here, we do have a 7-day free trial that's going on right now for our indicator suite. So if you're interested in getting access to our volume profile, the COT indicator, and the USDT bias indicator, and some more indicators down here, you can go ahead and check that out on our website. Link's going to be down below in the description. Use that coupon code at checkout, and then you'll get access to this for a 7-day free trial, so you can try it out on your TradingView account. So with that said, guys, let's get started with the video. All right, guys, before we even look at Ethereum, quick recap on BTC. As Ralphie mentioned yesterday, shorts are still very, very high on the asset managers position, but they are heavily net long. So again, we could potentially see price come down into the let's go to a higher time from the short to you guys, to this 2021 value low area right here, where we'd expect to potentially see a bottom. But we're going to need to see these shorts decrease, which they did, but they're still above average. So as long as the shorts are above average, we have a potential to keep dropping even more, potentially down into this area. But right now, price is literally at our weekly level for the USDT bias indicator. So it's going to be interesting to see how price reacts to this area. We saw a first try to go higher from there that got rejected at the 3-day and daily open. So we'll see what this try gives us. But we are definitely within last week's value. So if we break below this level right here, it could be aggressive to the downside. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to this area right here on Bitcoin. So with that said, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum now. All right, guys, so we're now looking at ETH, and as you guys can see, ETH failed to reach the weekly supply, kind of like Bitcoin did. I was expecting them to get to those weekly supply before another move to the downside based on how the shorts were looking, but we actually did not even get to this supply, and we're starting to roll over already. So right now, based on the last report, the asset managers are even more short on Ethereum. Okay, so when we look at their net position, we can see that their net position is heavily bearish, below average, the same way the shorts are below, the shorts are above average, right? We look at the longs are below average, longs are non-existent, they're like 0 right now. And when we look at the percentage longs and shorts, they're literally 100% short on Ethereum. So from the COT perspective, this is not bullish for Ethereum. This is actually very bearish for Ethereum. Okay, so before we get into this Ethereum USD price analysis, let's go ahead and let's take a look at ETHBTC. Now that we understand that Ethereum as a whole is a lot more bearish than Bitcoin based on the COT. So we'll see if that's being reflected on ETHBTC. All right, guys, we're now looking at ETHBTC. And if you guys saw last week's video, we were talking about right here, I wanted to see prices come up and reach for this weekly supply. I had posted that on our Telegram. And as you guys saw last week when I made the video, this wick right here was hitting the previous week's value area low. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to roll over. And then we're at least going to come down and retest this area, or potentially come down into this area. So we did come down, retest this area right here. But then that actually took us up into that weekly supply that I wanted to see hit right here. So we did see that get hit on ETHBTC, but on Bitcoin and on Ethereum USD, we did not see that happen. So right here, what this is telling me is that right now, from this point on, I would expect Ethereum to underperform against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin would be stronger than Ethereum. So meaning if we are going to see a move to the upside, the move on Bitcoin is going to be bigger. But if we're going to see a move to the downside, the move on Ethereum is going to be bigger, right? So now let's go ahead and take a look at the lower time frames to see how price is reacting. So I want to show you guys what happened when we hit that weekly supply here. So take a look at this. So you guys can see how we use the volume profile here. So this is my 3-day volume profile. And you guys can see that this is the new 3-day candle. It opened right here. Price went up, retested the previous 3-day value area on the volume profile. And ever since then, we have been dropping. So right now, we would be targeting this 3-day value low, which lines up with the monthly open. And then we're probably targeting this weekly open as well. When we look at the weekly profile, we can see that this rally was fueled. It started off of a retest of last week's value area high right here. and then we went all the way up to the weekly supply, and now we're targeting these levels right here. And if we keep dropping, we could drop down into this area where we have the weekly demand again, which would be the third hit to that level, which would make it even weaker than it already is, because this is pretty weak because we tapped into it once, tried to go higher, tapped into it second time, did go higher, but then now if we come down to it again, we could very well go below it. But you guys can see how that lines up with what we're seeing on the COT, where on Bitcoin, they're net long with heavy shorts, but on Ethereum, they're net short with heavy shorts, okay? So you would expect, based on the ETHBTC chart here, based on this weekly supply getting hit, we would expect ETH to underperform Bitcoin. And what we do not want to see is this, because if we see that, then that's not going to be good. If you want to be bullish on Ethereum, you don't want to see this value low get broken right here, that weekly value low, because right now we could very well break this 3-day value low, but if we do, it's going to be an aggressive move to the downside. It's going to reach down into where this weekly one is, and at that point you wouldn't want to see the weekly one get broken, because if not, we could go much lower to, for example, this daily demand that we have right here. Boom. And we also have last year's value high right there, which we failed to hit. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get down in here if that's going to turn things around and Ethereum would start outperforming Bitcoin from there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when these levels get hit. But overall, based on this weekly supply getting hit here, I am mostly bearish on ETHBTC. So now let's go ahead and take a look at ETHUSD. All right, guys, we are now looking at ETHUSD. And as you guys remember, I was calling for this weekly supply to get hit, but as we saw, price already formed a high right here and started to drop down. So let's go ahead and take a look at our lower time frames to see what exactly is going on right now. So we can see that we are above last week's value area high. We're actually using that as support right now, along with the weekly open. And if we go to a 4-hour time frame, we can see that this area right here is also a 4-hour demand. So there's a lot of confluence in this little area right here. So very strong support here for Ethereum, just like we saw on Bitcoin, which was currently hitting our weekly level. So that's confluence here. Now, if we go back to the hourly time frame, we can see that we're below the monthly and the 3-day open. So we're pretty much, and we rejected these as we dropped, right? So we're pretty much stuck within this little range right here. It's going to be important to see which way we break out of this, right? Because if we're able to go back above the monthly open here and use that, maybe use that as support, then obviously the target is going to be this weekly supply here, right? Which we were targeting ever since we bounced off of this weekly demand here. Now, if we start breaking down and we end up going back below this previous week's value area high, then we're going to start targeting the value area low down here. And if that breaks, then we can expect much more downside on Ethereum, where we could potentially target this 3-day demand here. Right there, as you guys can see, there's a 3-day demand about 2,000. It's a 1,990 something, so almost 2,000. That's kind of where we could potentially see the target. So those are my two targets here. Now we're gonna have, once we start going down here, we're gonna have to break this discount area right here. But most likely, if we continue to the downside, because of how short the asset managers are, if that's what's gonna happen, then we're probably gonna come down lower, below this low right here. I don't really see this discount holding unless the shorts go below average before we even get to this area, right? So it's going to be very important to pay attention to what the report is for tomorrow. So tomorrow's COT report, we're going to be paying very close attention to that because if they are reducing their shorts and adding longs, because we saw how aggressively short they were, then this could have very well been a bottom of this weekly demand here. And then we're going to keep paying attention to the reports every single week to see if their net position starts to switch, okay? But if when we look at the report not next week, but tomorrow, and that we see that they added shorts, and obviously they can't remove longs because they don't have any longs, right? If they just keep adding shorts, then that's a very, very bearish sign. So once we get to this weekly supply, we could potentially expect more downside if that happens. However, if we're able to come up here, break this weekly supply, and go back above the yearly value area high, and we see the shorts decline and longs start being added, then we're back into a bullish trend. But for now, we've been in a bearish trend ever since those shorts have been above average. So again, I just gave you guys the levels of importance. We're paying very close attention to this area, and as this is holding, we want to see a break above the monthly open. If that happens, then we're targeting the weekly supply. If that does not happen and we break below here, then we're targeting here and then potentially lower. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for Ethereum, guys. Hopefully you guys got some value from this. If you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. And also remember, there's going to be links down below in the description where you can go ahead and join our Discord server, totally free. You can come in there, hang out with us, talk COT, charts, trading, etc. There's also a link down below to get a 7-day free trial to our BTH indicator suite, which includes this multi-time frame volume profile that we're using here, along with some other indicators that we use to allow us to look at the market through a smart money perspective. So if you guys are interested in any of that, check the links down below in the description. And with that said, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.